Put in there?
Yeah,
Any good photos?
as you may know, I at the first talent show 3 years ago, I guess now, I played a music stand, and 2 years ago I played a hose. That was kind of a fun one because Rowdy put together a whole band, and we did a little ad-libbing. I did a little ad-libbing on the hose. And last year, what did I do? Oh, the saw. I played a saw, and not very well, but well enough. And I kind of got interested in the saw, and I thought, well, maybe when I come back next year, I'll actually really learn how to play this saw and play something good. But I spotted something on YouTube last summer, and I said, oh, this is what I got to do. And I particularly knew that was the case when within the next probably 3 or 4 weeks, at least 4 people sent me the link to this same YouTube video saying, when I saw this, I thought of you. This is something you should be doing. Several of them were church members. I don't think any of them are here tonight. So, so that clinched it for me. So tonight, I'm going to do something else. Maybe I'll learn how to play the saw better next year. This is the first year I've actually played a reed instrument. This is a clarinet mouthpiece. I actually, so that I didn't desecrate Gail's clarinet mouthpiece, I bought this on eBay for about $7.
Buy anything on eBay.
And it's connected to this little plastic hose coupler. It's actually a 12mm hose coupler, which was not real easy to find. Turns out I got that on Amazon. I think it actually came from some vendor in Australia. So you can find, Amazon has a long reach, and in fact, the YouTube video that I was doing was done by an Australian, so he probably knew, he probably didn't have as much trouble finding it as I did. So I got this together, and you can play a clarinet mouthpiece just by itself. That's about all you can do with it. I mean, so that's a start, but that's not enough. So I need something to connect this to. And this year I decided it was time to go organic. So while most of my building tools are just normal hardware and a knife, the rest of my instrument I actually bought at Whole Foods.
And he did use script.
Using script. And you'll recognize these. These are actually monster carrots. And as it turns out, if you're going to make a carrot clarinet, which is what I'm going to do, you need one with sufficient girth and sufficient length to get enough variety in what you're playing. And if you go into Stop and Shop, you don't find what I call big honking carrots. You got to go to Whole Foods to find these, but if you go to Whole Foods, you can find plenty of them. And so, I'm not going to build the whole thing because it'll take too long. But I'll demonstrate a little bit about how it's done, and then I'll pull out one that's already made. Obviously, if I'm going to turn this into a clarinet, I need to bore a hole in it. And I actually pre-cut one to the right length so that I didn't have to do that later on. So if you have a few more big honking carrots in here. This is actually cut to the right length. It's about 8.5 inches long. And again, it's got a pretty good girth. Now, the trick, and this is the most difficult part of the whole thing, you'll notice that my drill bit is only about half the length of the carrot. So I got to go in this way, and I got to turn around and go in this way, and hopefully my aim is good enough so those two ends meet. It doesn't always happen that way.
Better than your cuts.
Yeah, although I've gotten better at it. If you practice anything, you can really learn how to do it. So you just got to make sure you get it aimed here. I'm going to make a mess here, so let me get my paper towel out before I make a bigger mess than Kathy did.
God loves messes.
Yeah, all right.
Even so great. Yeah, Jesus.
Carrot shrapnel there. This helps us be able to see what you're doing. This is pressure, let me tell you. All right, I'm halfway in. Looks okay. Let's see if we can find the other end of that hole.
I would love to eat that.
Ooh, that's got all sorts of... Should be almost there. Come on. Ah, we broke through. I felt it. I felt it give. All right, this is the moment of truth. This is where it can be a little messy too. Whoa! That actually doesn't look too bad. And I learned there's still, little stalactites and stalagmites and carrot shrapnel in there. I have this little thing, it's a magnetic thing. You use it to reach behind a cabinet if you dropped a screw or something magnetic to pick it up. But it's just the right length, so I can use this to kind of ream out the hole just to make sure that it's relatively clean in there. Hey, this is one of my best dues. Now, if you connect the clarinet mouthpiece, remember if I just played it without attaching it, it would... Now let's throw it in there. Actually, it sounds kind of like a clarinet there. Well, in order to really play one of these things, you need to drill some holes in it for finger holes. And I'm not going to take the time to do that now because it would take a while. But what I do is, what I have is one that I built this afternoon. You see I kind of flattened one side of the carrot so that where my finger holes would go, and then I took a 1/4-inch drill bit, I think, and drilled these holes just halfway through. You got to make sure you don't go all the way through, you're in trouble. And then I put a thumb hole on the back. And what I learned in working with these is that carrot clarinets have a fairly short shelf life. You don't want to get too attached to these. Let me just show you one that I built like on Monday. Yeah. Yeah, I am refrigerating them. I don't know if that helped or not, but it's kind of spongy. Some of that I think actually helps a little because the finger holes compress a little bit and make it a little nicer to work with. But it gets to the point where if you're trying to play it and you're pushing it and it's bending, it loses something. So I built these. I built this one around noon today, and it's still relatively, at the very end where it's thin, it's starting to bend, but it's still holding it together pretty well. Now, this is the moment of truth. I'm not really a reed player or a clarinet player, so I need to practice a little bit here. So give me a moment.